Welcome to The Creatives, Radio Now's new entertainment talk show that brings to you the personalities who create everything entertainment. And I'm your host, Doris Okorie. You can catch us every Friday morning at 10 minutes past 9 a.m. with a repeat at 8 p.m. on Radio Now 95.3 FM and also on all our other platforms on our website, www.thisisradionow.com, on Facebook, facebook.com/thisisradionow, and on our YouTube, Radio Now Studio. Today in the studio, I have with me a consummate marketing professional whose key focus is advertising and media for value-based and impactful visibility geared towards appropriate positioning of brands. I know, you're pumped, you're excited, so am I. So stick around, but first, you know what we do here? Let's go, people! So now to our guest on The Creatives. He is the Executive Director of Media Investment, OMG Weka, a man that has successfully executed campaigns across media and has maintained best-in-class benchmark against international standards and practices. His experiences span a wide range of products, including telecommunications, banking, automobile, airline industries, and has worked with brands such as Nine Mobile, MTN, Airtel, Kellogg's, Wow, Munchit, Pfizer International, Honda, Tour Group, and the list is long. So let's just get to this. Thank you so much, Mr. Yinka Adebayo.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being here. So let's, start soft. Let's start soft. What is a typical day in the life of Yinka Adebayo, the advertising guru?
Advertising guru, yes, okay. My day starts off really by making sure that I plan out my day. Sometimes I spend the first 30 minutes on my bed trying to plan out what the day will be like, what meetings to attend. Is it going to be physical? Is it going to be virtual? Is it going to be, what are the visits that you want to do? What kind of negotiation you want to get into? So I plan it out. Then the next thing is for me to get onto my praying mat and pray.
Nice,
then of course,
nice. Prayer is very important. So how is it in the office when you get in? How is the workplace?
Wow. That's a different word because, like I said, it's one thing for you to have planned out. It's another thing what you are going to be bombarded with in the office, from clients calling, clients requesting for meeting that was not scheduled earlier, or media partners calling and asking for their payment, and you need to talk to finance, you need to talk, or your report, asking you for support or assistance here and there, or somebody just saying, look, Yinka, I had brainwave last night, how do we key into this? So a whole lot of things will come into play. And that means for you, I think as a marketing professional, you need to develop that bandwidth and that flexibility and multitasking ability to be able to take on so much and ensuring that nothing falls through the crack.
True. Things, so many unplanned things. So what you're saying is sometimes you get to the office, you say, okay, today, 8 a.m., I'll do this, I'll do that. And then next day, everybody's just calling, Mr. Adebayo, can you do this? Can you do that? It can go left at any time.
Yeah, it can go left, but you make sure that since you have your own priority list by your side, you know a couple of things that you cannot move, that must happen that day. So it's not built on you to say, as you take on those things that were not planned for, those that you've planned, you equally accommodate them, so that at the end of the day, you can look back and say, well, it's been a fulfilling day.
Able to at least achieve. Nice. Okay, so I'm aware you studied mass communication at the University of Ado-Ekiti, and of course you have an MBA in marketing from the prestigious Lagos Business School. What is the difference with studying as a marketer and actually practicing as a marketer?
There's a world of difference, really. There's a world of reason. And I think people need to know that, yes, the certificate you get from this institution will only give you an access. How you make of it is totally yours. So it's not surprising that you have some people in school, they are first class, but on the field, you have third class beating them to it. Because they are two different worlds entirely. There's a clear difference between theory and practical. And on the field, it's actually practical terms. Now you've said it, how do you put into play? How do you act it out? So I think the real world is actually in the outside world. The certificate is just there, first class,
just to,
whatever. It just gives you the access. What you now make of it is on the field.
Okay. So I know people know what the word is. People have heard of the word branding. People are actually very familiar with the word. But what does branding actually mean, and why is it so important?
Well, branding is important because it's actually is your representation out there.
Okay.
So you get, in life, there's no second chance to make a first impression. So meaning, and how you dress will determine how you are dressed. So really, there are some people they don't need to open their mouth. The way they are dressed, you can equally position them to say this person must be like this, and that's what brand does to you. So you need to. So for branding just connotes everything that has to do with the brand, from color. It could be color, it could be sound. To say, look, anybody, anytime, anywhere, anyhow, people hear this sound is related to this brand, or people see this color is related to this brand. So it's something that brand custodians used to take painstaking effort to really come up with it, because it's a long-term thing. It's not something you toy with, because your representation, your image, is your image out there. It's only when you feel things are not going the way you expect it to go, that's why you have cases of rebranding, or you probably want to jazz up things or probably fine-tune things. But branding is very key, because it's actually the representation of the brand out there. It could be from sound. You've seen cases where there are some sound. If I tell you right now, without mentioning the brand name, you know what it is.
Of course.
If I say something like,
Yeah.
what does it mean?
Yes,
so if I say,
definitely.
there is something, there's a color called red in telco, you know what it is.
Yes.
So that's brand. And when you see that color, you can immediately, oh, this must be this. So it's very, very important, and it's not something to
So definitely, what you're trying to say is branding is basically what you see, what you hear.
What you see, what you hear, what you feel about the brand. And it's all about positioning. And positioning is not what you do to the brand. It's actually what you do. It's actually what you do to people's mind. Because if you capture people's mind, even when you are not there, they are representing you.
True, they're talking about it.
Because you feed them so much information about the brand that they take ownership of it, and they run with it.
I agree with you. Okay, so so what would you say is a priority in terms of strategy as an advertiser? What do you think this you can't shift? This has to be included in terms of advertising or branding.
What you can't shift is the audience. Because whether you do it right or wrong, it depends on how the audience sees it, the consumer, how they respond. So your first cardinal point is the audience, because ultimately those are the ones who will buy the product. No matter how beautiful your advert is, if it's not selling, it's a waste.
So basically, the customer is key.
You need to know the consumer. You need to continually research into them. You need to know what their passion point is, what their taste is, what is happening, how are they trending, what is trending with them, and how can you key into those passion points so that you live with them. And when you live with them, they see you as their own, because they can relate with. But if they are going left and you are going right, there's a distance. So at the end of the day, and maybe when we are growing up, a couple of consumers were loyal. These days, the consumers, they don't have patience. They are not loyal anymore. It's either you are going their route, they carry you along, or you are going separately, they drop you and move on. Whoever is on their route, they carry along. So
you said something about passion points. Do you think that advertisers are actually keying into the passion points of maybe the youth, for instance?
Well, I think they are trying, but they are still far, far, far away from the mark, I dare say. They are still far, far away from the mark. I was privileged to be at the last Eddie's Award, where I presented one of the awards. Okay. And my statement before presenting the award was simple, to say, hey, we pay lip service to things so much in this country. We've always said content is king, content is king. If content is truly king, how many have we crowned? The pandemic showed all of us, NTA, DSTV, all the channels, they were bereft of content. Meanwhile, content producers were lavishing away before them. Imagine if they have a house, they have enough stock of content before the pandemic. The eyeballs we were always charging for were there at home during the pandemic. Everybody locked down. True. And when the stations could not deliver to them what they were looking for, what did they do? You can't hold them back. They move on to Netflix. It's as simple as that. So really, I think it's high time that we begin to look at the passion. Like I said earlier, continue to research into the youth, know what their passion points are, and key into them. Content is key. Music is one of the key passion points for you, but how many brands are really identifying with music? The way it ought to be identified with. Okay, so what do you use the same techniques for all brands, or you say, okay, telecoms, this is the technique to use, or how do you go about your techniques for various brands? Well, strategy will always be strategy. How you now deploy it or how you start to implement it is what will differ. To say, okay, fine, who am I talking to here? If it's a telco brand and you're talking to, depending of course on the offering. If I'm giving an offering that has to do with data that appeals more to the youth, the way I will address it will be different from when I'm selling a data that is maybe 100,000 naira worth, because I know I need to talk to the upper segment. So the segment of the consumer will determine how you kind of like. But the strategy will pretty much be the same. What is the offer? Who exactly are we talking to? And how can we position this thing in a way that will appeal to them, so that we can have what we call their action point. Because when they take that action, that the account can start ringing. So basically what you're saying is,
all strategy? Like for all brands, you use the same strategy. You just have to
how to now deploy or fine tune it is what we differ to
it.
say. Who are you talking to? How do you key into them, and what kind of deployment do you want to use?
That's fantastic. So, how about connecting? How do you build relationships with brands?
Well, to build relationship with brand is for us to get to know the brand a whole lot more, get to understand, and in understanding, it goes beyond what the brand custodian, maybe the client now, what they tell you. Because nobody will take the pain of producing a product and say anything negative about it. So it builds you as a consultant, whether in advertising or whether in media, to go beyond the boundaries, to say beyond what client has told you, what can you unveil about this product? A case where you've told the brand to say, hey, your product you're telling me is actually for the ABC segment, but really when I went into the market and did research, it's actually the DE that are buying this your product, and that's where the masses are. So there are cases where we come back with some reports, so it might be bitter, it's a bitter truth, but clients too, over time, when you begin to tell them some of these things, they begin to see reason because they are based on empirical fact.
So research. So what you're saying now
is very key. You need to research. Yeah, they could have done their own. When was it done? How was it done? Where was it done? As an agent, you need to take it upon your own to further do that, to revalidate what the client has said. If it's in tandem, fine, we go down. If it's not, it builds on you to open it there to say, so that we are not seen to be wasting effort.
True, I agree with that. So, how do you get to choose what brands to work with?
Well, we are not selective. We can work with any brand. Fortunately, I think I've been privileged to work on virtually most of the, from FMCG to banking to telco to name it. I think one has been privileged and opportunity to have worked on so. So we are not selective. We can work with anything because, like I said earlier, the strategy is the strategy. How you now deploy is
what's important.
And the more sector you get involved in, the more exposed you are, because the kind of talent you face in telco is not the same thing you face in automobile. What you face in banking is not the same thing you face in fintech. So you need to be able to adapt. And the more you do, the more exposed you are.
So what you're saying in essence is, when there are new brands, it's actually beneficial to you because then you tend to learn new things.
I'm delighted. Personally, for me, I'm delighted. Or particularly when there's this change in paradigm, like the change we all experienced during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It was an eye-opening period for me to say, yes, now let's rewrite the figure, let's change the rules. Let's raise the bar. Let's do things differently because the pandemic forced us to think differently. Of course, we are forced to do things differently.
Fantastic. So, what is your assessment on how the industry has fared in branding in comparison to the global market?
Well, I think the good thing I would say to you is that the train has left the station, but we are still far away from where it should be. And I'll start from the key case in point. If you ask almost like about 75 to 80% of the brand in this country, they'll tell you they are focused on the youth. If it's the youth you are focused on, how well are we keen into the passion point of the youth? One of the things I know is that music play a very strong glow of interest to our youth. We can see the likes of Nigerian Idols, The Voice, when they are calling for auditioning. You know the number of those who are fortunate to get audition. You know the multiple of millions that are never audited. But the truth of the matter at the end of the day, December was dirty. Dirty December. Who says January cannot be dirtier? Who says February cannot be dirtier? It's like, well, and behold. Some people were still, while they were still basking in euphoria of dirty December, TA, one of the top comedians in this country, organized a show in January. The show was sold out. Now people are looking for what next? That means the youth are dynamic, vibrant, energetic. They are willing and eager to go. Are the brands ready? I dare say.
You said something before we actually started this interview. You said something about the Big Brother Africa when it wanted to start, and then some brands really didn't want to touch it. Could you,
Well, I think for me that was really another case study for us in this country.
Okay.
And you know, one of the things that as a marketer, you need to be able to draw a line. There's a clear difference between what people do, and what people say. And as a marketer, what brings money to the table is what they do. Yeah, I think fortunately for me too, I was also part of those who, when Big Brother first landed in this country, 2 of my clients were on board, MTN and Guinness then. And that was the period when there was no social media. So I think it came around. And of course, there was this euphoria about being negative, immoral, and all of that stuff. But lo and behold, I think 2 years later, DSTV came up with the option of saying, guys, we are going to be scrambling that particular channel because we are bringing Big Brother back. But if you don't want to share it, we'll scramble it. But in case you want to watch, you need to come and sign an undertaking to say you want to watch so that we can unscramble it for you. And I think that exercise was done. I think I took up to do a mini research because for me, every opportunity is an opportunity to research, to really get to know. And lo and behold, I think I was at the Ikeja GRA office of DSTV, and I discovered that we have queues. People lined up to sign up the undertaking that they want to watch. So after the exercise, I spoke to a friend of mine, DSTV, and the guy confirmed to say over 90% of our suppliers have signed up, they want to watch. So who are those complaining? So people need to understand the fact that, so it's not surprising that when the Big Brother came back, brands were a bit hesitant to touch it because of the fear of immoral and all of that. But you see, in life, let's face it, people will always be worried with that. Everything in life has negative and positive. You pick out what you want to use. True. And as a brand, your own right to sell your product. Whether somebody is naked or clothed, it will get to a point where you'll be hungry and you must eat. If that be the case, Indomie came to the party. So it's not surprising that tomorrow you see Tolerant playing big on Big Brother, because really it's pretty much, and the truth of the matter really is the fact that people, that thing is enjoying so much hype, particularly with the kind of TG that we want to address. Beyond the issue of maybe some little negative, there are a couple of other invaluable lessons being taught in there.
Task,
a
yes.
Situation, yeah, the task, very, very intellectually challenging tasks.
Yes, I agree.
Those who will complain about it will never see that. Those tasks are very, very constructive. You need to be mentally up there to be able to address it. But even beyond that, let's look at the human relation. Before you go into the house, the guy is laughing at you. He went in there, you are the one being nominated for a vision, and he comes out, he laughs at you. That shows you, and that is what we all live with in life. The fact that somebody is smiling with you does not mean that person is your friend. The fact that one is frowning at you does not mean he's your enemy. So you need to be able to decipher. You need to have what somebody referred to as the discerning spirit, to hear what is not said and see what is not obvious.
Fantastic. I like that. I should use that as a caption for my Instagram post. Okay, so you started your career in the 90s. What can you say is a significant change in these times?
A whole lot. I think I would say I've also been one of those fortunate to transit between the analog and digital. Each time I look back right now, I get excited. I get excited that most of the things we are doing in the 90s, we are doing it manually. Now you have technology at your beck and call. But it's equally shocking to know that the younger generation who have opportunity to this are not using it maximally. That's the honest truth, because those things, I remember we used to write MPO for almost like 50 or 100 stations manually. Now you just press a button on the laptop and everything gets printed and it goes. So the question is, what are we now spending our time on? Because that gives you opportunity to now research, to now do more research work, to get to know the consumers more, to come up with fantastic, brilliant ideas, to really delight the client, delight the brand, and make sure that the brand has win. But I think it's a nice development. Technology has really made life so easy. But even easier as it is, we now need to bring on our thinking cap to be able to use it. Yeah, technology is there. How well we use it will ultimately be dependent on each other.
Thank you so much for actually saying something about technology, because my next question is, how do you think technology has helped in the advertising industry?
Oh, greatly in so many ways. Apart from what we do, the operational bit, it has also enabled you to do almost like instant research, like the research I just mentioned. I keep on telling people, research does not mean you need to commission. There are a couple of questions, even on your Instagram page, there are some questions you have, people will throw in, they will respond to it, particularly when they are controversial. Those are useful insights that you can use for brand. Oftentimes, people, you see, information fly around us, and instead of us harvesting them and using them to advantage, we are busy looking for when we commission. It's not until you commission somebody, pay out money, research can actually be in your home. I'll give you a typical example of mine. My son used to be the social prefect of ISL. I just discovered that when he was around, before he went to Canada because he's studying there right now, I found out that each time I come home from work, he's always going upstairs. And I was asking him, is it that this guy is avoiding me? Because for me, when I was growing up, it's an opportunity to bond with my dad. Here was the guy who would just leave me and go up. But lo and behold, he was not given a task in school to say, hey, you are the social prefect, you need to organize party for us. And the guy came to me to say, Dad, can you help me call any of my celebrities? I said, oh, so you know your dad has a celebrity friend and you've been avoiding him. And lo and behold, I did that, but I equally did that. And when I was in their school, making sure some of my celebrity friends came to the school, many of his friends just walk up to me to say, please, can I have your IG number? Many of them are following me right now. That's the power of technology, being able to use it to advantage. From the little research I did in my home, I was able to know that, look, how do I bring this guy to follow the road? These days, in fact, this time when I'm having interview, if you had been aware of something like this, I won't be surprised. He will join in from Canada. Aww. Because in case when he joins, he will also ask questions. The other day I was having an interview with Alibaba. He actually joined from Canada, and he asked a question. It was after the show that he asked me, that was your day. I said, fine. And he asked me to say, you had a session with Alibaba? I said, yeah, just an interview. He said, I asked you a question and you answered. I said, you? How did you? He said, I saw it on your status. I said, oh, I asked you a question. I was the one that mentioned Demilade. And I asked you also a question. I said, wow, that means the boy is now back home. If not, you would have lost things,
Fantastic
using
stuff.
things to advantage. So technology has really helped, opportunity to research, opportunity to do things that would normally take you hours to do it within a second, things that would normally take you a year to do it in 1 week. And that should give you an opportunity to do a whole lot more for the brand, because the audience we are dealing with these days, they are restless.
Short span.
They are restless, they are very dynamic, and you need to be on the ball.
Yes.
Okay, you need to be on the ball. It's either you are in front of them, and nobody's going to wait for you. Nobody's going to keep quiet for you to be heard. So the only thing you do is to see how do you raise your own voice, be ahead of the game.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you so much, Mr. Yinka. I'm actually enjoying myself, but we have to go on a short break, and we'll be right back. We still have in the studio Mr. Yinka Adebayo, advertising guru. Welcome back to the Creatives. With me in the studio is advertising guru Yinka Adebayo. Mr. Yinka, I'm having so much fun and I'm learning a lot from you, to be honest. Okay, so let's do this. You were key in signing celebrities like Funke Akindele to brands like Wild Detergents and Kellogg's, also Davido to Munchies. How do you know what brands to pair with, what celebrities?
Well, like I said earlier, it's a function of research and also a desire to always key into the passion point of people. Look at the level of the level of affinity those celebrities have with the target audience that we seek to address, so that when you bring it to that, people can almost relate with it. I think the first thing we did was to sign on Funke Akindele for Wild Detergent, and because yes, she's a mother and she's somebody who enjoys good followership because of her content, Jennifer, and the brand she represents. That Jennifer brand is something that resonates very well with young mothers, and we felt it was key. So there was synergy. And when we brought her in, I recall that when we first brought her in, the client was like, "Will this thing work?" But the first experience we had with her when we brought her in, and we introduced her to distributors. Many of the distributors started booking there and then. Wow. So the client did not need to be told that this is going to work. And for the audience too, even when you post anything on social media, you could hear comments like, "Funke, because of you, I'm going to start buying the product." So you see, that's the thing about the youth these days. Once they like you, they run with you. Mm-hmm. If they don't immediately hold hard, they tell you straight up that, "Look, we are not in this. What is this? What's the link?" So we did it. And I think the same thing. And for me, I think it's just a matter of, like I said, based on strategy. All of these things are deliberate, planned, and sustained. We don't just go into some of these things by accident. We would have done our research. We will make sure that there's a kind of like synergy. I know when we signed on, when we went into the sponsorship of Nigerian Idols with Wild Detergent, a couple of people asked us to say, "Hey, what is soap doing with music?" Yeah. The question I asked them is to say, does it mean that the artists or the would-be artists, they don't wash their clothes? If they do, there must be links somewhere. And when we handed up that sponsorship on Nigerian Idol, the first guy standing, that's the winner, Kingdom.
Yes.
And the last lady standing, Akuna. They are currently the brand ambassador for Wild Detergent. Oh, so it's a way of telling the young guys to say, "Hey, and we are able to do it with Nigerian industry. We made them to demonstrate their washing skill." That is instructive, because it's just part of us. And we can't say because you are not a celebrity, you lose out of those. And those are the things that you can key into. And when you are key into what the youth like, they relate with you. So it's not by accident. The video with Munchies was a sellout. In fact, these days, when people go into outlets right now, what they're asking for is that, "I want that video food." Snacks. That's what they call Munchies now. It's been a symbiotic, it's been a very wow, it's been an interesting partnership that is rubbing off positively on the brand and equally impacting impressively well on sales. So it's been good.
Fantastic stuff. So, sir, I really wanted to know, are you involved with the editorial control? Like, are you part of the people who choose what goes out in terms of the final product?
Well, we work in the media space because, advertising is more like a creative workshop. So when you start advertising, before now it used to be all warehouse into one. You have the creative, you have the media, you have the production, everything embedded in one. But these days, there's what we call specialization. Where, yes, it's advertising. Some people handle the creative bit. That is the creative agency. I operate in the media bit to say, yes, the message has been done. How do you get it out to the people so that they can see, they can feel, and they can respond the way you desire them to do? And that's where media comes in. But even in that too, because of the amount of data that we sit on as a media specialist, we're able to give directions to the creative to say, "Hey guys, the TG that you're seeking to address, this is their thinking, this is their consumption habits, this is what," so that that can help them in fine-tuning their message in a way that will appeal to them.
Okay, so sir, you said something. You said, for instance, Funke Akindele posting, a brand on her page and people commenting, "Oh, I'll buy this because of you." What are that is obviously an advantage of social media in terms of branding. Do you see any disadvantage?
Yeah, of course, a whole lot. Like I said earlier, anything in life that has positive will have negative. That's why God created man and woman. Everything is in two. So even when you are enjoying the good thing, you remember what happened to her during the pandemic,
Yes.
run into murky waters with the state government. A couple of brands who were with her deserted her during that period. But lo and behold, and for me, I think that was equally instructive. And we need to be very careful. We need to, you see, in life, the 1 kobo you give me when I'm pain is more valuable and important than the 1 million you give me when I'm rich. The best time to know your friend is during your pain period. Yeah, and I think that was actually instructive to her during that period. But lo and behold, a couple of brands still stood by her, all through thick and thin. And at the end of the day, I was telling people to say we need to be careful because, yes, guilty. Because we need to understand the fact that many of these are celebrities got into that role by accident. They were just driven by passion. And in life, as you trade off, there are some things that you need to trade off. But many people, they were not tutored in that respect. But the reality is dawning on some of them to say, as you grow up the ladder, there are some weights that you need to shed. So that's, and I think it's a good lesson for everybody. So yeah, there will be up time, there will be down time, but during that time, that's not mean you need to desert. You need to support. You need to see how you turn it to advantage. And I think that was what she did because it came back after the whole saga with the government. Even her followership on Instagram and all the other social media, even went through the roof. In life, when God takes you to the deepest part of the river, His purpose oftentimes is not to drown you. It's probably to clean you up and prepare you for a higher rope. The question is, are you ready?
Some gems. Okay, so sir, what are the challenges you have faced in the advertising world?
Well, I think one of the key challenges we face is actually has to do with the issue of data. Data is still a major problem in this part of the world, ability to gather it, and that's one thing we need to see how we deploy technology to advantage. And also one of the things, another thing too is equally client responsiveness. A couple of clients are still laid back, they still don't give agencies that trust, that belief, that opportunity to say, hey, and I think it just boils down to, and like I always tell my other colleagues in the agency to say, respect oftentimes is not what you ask for, it's what you earn. Just one time, and you're able to convince the client to say, hey, I know this route better than you. Before you need to have them, but if you don't have any value to add, you probably will have a situation where they don't believe in you. So these are some of the challenges, the regulation and all of that. Then, of course, the issue of multiple taxation, government creating an enabling environment for the client, for the businesses to flourish. Because when the business flourish, that they can now begin to look at, oh, how do we now begin to reach out to more? So opportunity to do more is there because the number is there. A country of 200 million people, it's not by accident. We are not eating each other. Goods and services must be bought. But we're creating an enabling environment for those companies to produce and deliver. That's one thing that needs to be looked into.
Okay, so as a full-time member of the Advertising Practitioners Council of Nigeria, APCON, and Media Independent Association of Nigeria, MIPAN, what would you say are the advantages of being a member?
Well, I dare say, point of correction, I'm currently a fellow of advertising. I got inducted last month as a fellow of advertising, and that's the zenith, that's the peak.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you so very much. So many advantages because it gives you opportunity to keep in tune with the trend of the industry. It enables you the opportunity to give back to a profession that has made you. Because by being a member, you're able to contribute to just not stand around, rather than sit out of defense and be complaining. You now have the opportunity of making contribution to policy because there are so many committees that as a member you are encouraged to join, that you can make invaluable contribution, and you can now be in a position to shape the direction of how the industry will go. So I think it's equally an opportunity for you to be protected because you have cases where you are not being well treated by your client. If you're a member of the association, they can actually come to your aid or to your rescue to ensure that, because their role is to ensure that things are done professionally and all agreed terms are kept to. So if you are not in that clique, then of course whatever happens to you, you are left on your own. But once you are a member, you can be well assured you are respected. Even for the client too, they respect you the more because they know you belong to an organization that is credible, that is respected, and the respect will naturally rub off on you.
Okay, so basically it's a shelter.
Sure.
Fantastic. So from when you started your career in 1995 with Promo Server Limited as a media executive to being the executive director of Media Investments, OMG WECA, how would you describe your experience in the advertising world?
Well, it's been an interesting journey. I think it's been a fulfilling journey. I keep on telling people I got into that profession by accident, but I think it was an accident that I really enjoyed, and I thank God for ordering my steps in that path. Initially, I wanted to study business. I got to study mass communication, and here we are today. It's been an interesting journey. It's been a very challenging one, I must say. But in life, they say If you cannot stand the heat, don't stay in the kitchen. So people are quick now to see the jeep you drive, the kind of razzmatazz, the facade of the industry. But beyond that, a whole lot of things have gone under the skin. So again, you've paid your dues, you've gone through a whole lot. I dare say I still recall vividly when we used to raise contract and you need to be, now you can send it through email. Now you have to practically take it to the likes of NTA, where you need to sign your MPO from one table to the other. And you must pay before it gets here. I recall then, I don't drink. After making the booking at NTA, maybe I will finish by around 7:30 or 8, and I'm heading back home. And I know, and I'm the kind of person that I don't like to be surprised. So meaning, I want to seek on my commercial so that when I'm talking to the client the following day, I'm talking from a vantage position of information. What do? I move from VI, get to CMS. I'll look for a joint where they sell beer, and I'll just buy because I don't drink beer. I'll just buy my bottle of Coke, sit in one corner, make sure that they are putting it on NTA. And once the news starts, when this commercial break, I see the commercial, pay. So when I'm talking to client, I'm telling him to say your commercial ran yesterday. Not just ran, no. It ran at 9:05.
Fantastic.
They took this one before it, and immediately your commercial, they took this one after. So it's the answer you give, and you keep everybody quiet.
Details.
Because they know you know what you are talking about. And that's the level I operate in. And that was the training, even till tomorrow. That's where I operate, even at my level right now. Some of my reports still wonder, oh, God, are you able to capture? Yes, that's the game of the game. So you're so used to it. And I keep on telling people, the best way to do is to turn your job to your passion. Where has become passion? It comes natural. People see it as job, but you are enjoying what you are doing because it's your passion. And lo and behold, there's nothing as good as getting paid for your passion.
Now to the word passion. I really love that. In the world of advertising and branding, it sounds fun, enjoyable. You say passion. What can you say, or how profitable can you say the world of advertising is?
Well, it's very profitable, because there are so many perks that comes with the office, but you must go through the drill. That's very important. And you see, it's just like any career path in life. There's a period where you need to invest, where you need to deepen yourself to the level where you open your mouth. People respect what comes out of it. You see, one of the things I've also learned is the fact that if your height is greater than your depth, fall becomes inevitable. So you need to constantly deepen yourself. And there's a period where you must be ready to pay that price to deepen yourself, so that when you get up in there, people see you, question as thrown at you, the way you answer, people go like, wow, you really deserve what you have. And there's nothing as good as that. So it's actually a period, and I call it the 4 Ps. First is passion, second one is perseverance, the third one is positioning, while the last P is patronage. Once you have the passion, you are able to persevere, that is endure the pain, take on this thing. You position yourself very well. Then the last P is automatic, which is patronage. What people are running after automatically runs after you, because there's value on the table. And once value is on the table, the blind will see and the deaf will hear.
I have so many quotes from my Instagram page. So sir, you said something about 4 Ps, and it just clocked, and I said, what is your philosophy in life?
My philosophy in life is simple. First is little is much. When God's hand is in it, I make sure in everything I do, I put God first. Then the question is, what you cannot take, don't give to the other person. So before I try anything on you, I will have tried it on myself to be sure that I'm being fair and just. Then the last one is that take every assignment as if it's your first, but do it as if it's the last. Do it. When you are fresh, it's your first. You give it all your best. But do it as if, let's assume this is even the last thing I do. Anybody that gets here will say, wow, good job.
Nice. I really like that. So as an advertising guru, what advice can you give to those that are starting out and others that are coming in?
Well, for me, I would say they should learn to walk the talk. Whatever you say, please do it, and do it well. That's why I'm so much in love with Nike's slogan. Just do it. Deliver it, no matter what it takes. The only thing that people reward and celebrate is the result, not effort. Irrespective of the amount of effort you put in, if it doesn't deliver the result, it's as good as not starting. But do it so well that the result becomes so obvious to everybody. And in no time, you not only get rewarded, you get celebrated.
And the 4 Ps will come into play.
That's right.
So, sir, what are your top 3 tips for those trying to get into the industry?
Well, I think I've given so much already.
You have. I've actually learned a lot. But there's some tips that that without these tips, you can't even start anything.
I think for me, one of the key tips that, which of course I've done, so I've kept on telling people lately, the first thing in life is open your mind. Because when people close their mind, because they close their mind, they close their eyes. And they close their eyes to opportunities. So open your mind to take in as much as possible. The more you take in, the better you have. So the more you take in is what you can give us. So when you open your mind, you're able to open your eyes and you see. And like one of the best marketers in the world said, Gordon said, look, for you to be seen, you need to learn to see. What do you see? See opportunities. Where others are struggling. Why not just in this pandemic, why some people are crying, some are actually laughing.
True.
Why some people are complaining, some the kind of money they've never made. This is because they open their mind and they open their eyes. They're able to see opportunity. They're able to see opportunity in the midst of the money some people have ever made before, they made it during the pandemic. So while some are closing shop, some are opening shop. So let's learn to open our eyes, our mind, so that we can open our eyes. And when we open our eyes, we see opportunities. And we're able to catch in on it and turn it to advantage.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Mr. Yinka Adebayo.
Thank
I
you
really
for having
enjoyed myself today. I enjoyed the interview and I learned a lot. And I hope my viewers and my listeners also learned a lot. Thank you so much for coming, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. It was always a pleasure.
Yeah. So that was another exciting episode of The Creatives, the entertainment show that takes you behind the scenes. I hope you enjoyed it and learned a lot like I did. And of course, if you have any comments or questions, please contact us on our social media platforms with hashtag The Creatives. So from me, Doris Okore, and the entire Creatives team, I'll see you next week with another amazing guest. Ciao!